So, yeah, I reckon you could play hooker, Joeby. Oh,
Yeah, hooker, yeah. I was a good halfback when I played at school, but
g'day, Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. Just thought we'd practice pretending we're already talking before we introduced, just as a new way of doing it.
yeah.
Hit the ground running.
We don't need a production manager to tell us to pretend we've got a conversation going. So, look, guys, welcome to Joeby and to Gas. How are you, Joeby?
Good, mate. How are you?
Well, you know how I am, but how are you?
I know how you are. I am very good. I've just got home from work, so my brain's not switched on yet, but had a shower and then straight on pretty much.
Oh, nice. I didn't even have a shower. I had one this morning, though.
If I didn't have a shower, I would be white. So I was standing today. So
So g'day to gratitude to Michael and everyone who's already jumped on. Yeah, we'll get into all these chats. Gas is all over it. I don't know why I've got all these bloody notifications coming up, but hopefully that doesn't annoy people too much. How are you, Gas?
Very good, mate. All things considered with the result on the weekend, but otherwise we're healthy, we're alive, and we're only 157 days from Vegas. So I'm good. I'm ready.
157 days from Vegas. And welcome to Mug Huss. And, yep, who have we got at the moment? 14 people. We'll wait for about another 6 to come on. We're up to 17, 20 or 25. Remember, guys, g'day, old fella Dave. Welcome. Gas has hit a button somehow and accidentally turned himself off. Welcome, Brian. Gas is coming back now. And welcome, Hades. How are you? Gas has had a little bit of an issue. He'll be back in a second, though. He's got that circle of death.
he's back on mine now.
I'm back on.
Can't see the chats. Let me
Evening.
show comment. Oh, here we go. Should be able to see the chats now. G'day, Michael, and welcome back, Gas.
Yep, thanks, mate. All good.
Can see the chats?
Yep, all good, mate.
Beautiful. All right, so let's get into it. All right, we've got 26 people. Beautiful. Sorry we couldn't come on yesterday, but we thought we'd just give it a couple more days of rest.
Yeah.
Just saying hello to everyone as they're coming on. Marty Al-Zamili, how are you, buddy? Best lineup for 2026. We'll get into all that sort of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff we're going to do between now and the and Vegas. So 157 days till Vegas, and you're going to get used to seeing a lot of us because you know it's Bulldogs 24/7 for us people. And welcome, Rhett. How you going? Oh, so thank you so much for that, Rhett. Much appreciated. And thank you to everyone who keeps coming on and saying hello. Big day today. But look, let's get straight into the finals fallout. I'll go last, which means I don't have to say it all first. But tell me, you start, Gas. What was your feelings about going out in two? Let's sum it up into 2 games, 2 performances, 2 letdowns in a way.
Melbourne game, I thought the guys played outstanding considering we lost 2 centres during the game, which is probably one of the hardest positions to fill when you lose it during the game. It's sort of that really lock-in position there on the sides there. So I think we did outstanding and we were very unlucky not to win that game. Obviously, you know, the turning point, like I said last week, was the turning, you know, Sexton kick out on the full kind of just shifted that momentum back to the Storm and they ended up getting that try to get ahead. But that game, the boys put in a tremendous effort. And even the long drive home back to Sydney, I wasn't disappointed. I was proud of the boys. And I thought they did outstanding and were unlucky not to get the result. We didn't get any calls our way from the ref at all. They were lying all over us. They were jumping off their line early. This week, the boys just weren't able to get into any groove at the start of the game. I thought we were desperately unlucky not to get a sin bin early on their fullback. It's a professional foul. It was even reviewed. Still a professional foul, still a penalty. Sin bin should have been an automatic on something like that because it's a try-scoring opportunity. He was the last man there. So whether or not we would have won the game or not, that doesn't help the momentum. That kind of had the guys on the back foot from the start. That was probably the only time we were in the 20 for that whole half, other than defending Panthers coming off their line. We didn't have one tackle. And the momentum, as you can see, if you remember against Canberra, we won 32-0 in the second half. Momentum was all our way. Once you've got that momentum against any team, doesn't matter who they are, you're very hard to stop. And Penrith played a great game. They exposed us extremely well. They highlighted probably the fact that they could see Burton wasn't able to properly put his shoulder into the defence, and they came down his way quite a bit. And unfortunately, that combination wasn't, untried, Jethro and Burton. So it was a hard one to sort of manage, but the guys never gave up. And honestly, even in that second half, when we were still down, they kept believing that they could still score enough points to find a way back. As much as they were so far behind, anyone who was watching, anyone who was there could see that effort. We were unlucky, when Cherry, threw that intercept pass to Toto. He, throws a dummy. You don't know what happens there, And then they obviously Panthers scored with Alamonte in the corner after that set from the intercept. So just little things like that. Still wouldn't have maybe won the game, but just the effort for the boys to keep coming. And a big, huge call out to Preston, who pretty much in every finals game he's played for the Dogs, and obviously the whole season, he's probably been our standout player and has been the most consistent performer. I don't actually remember Preston having a bad game. I think his level has really risen to the point where I honestly believe, you would be mad not to include him on a kangaroo tour. As much as I, selfishly wouldn't like him to go so he doesn't get any injuries, but you would love him to go and play and get that experience. But between him and Galvin, they've really developed the Cliffy Lyons, Stevie Menzies type of combination there. So I'm really excited about what's ahead, with those two together. It's going to have to be something, for all that Menzies was, for example, he still scored, the most tries for a forward. So I still think that combination will have a lot of unlocking of other teams next year. But at the end of the day, Panthers played fantastic. We just fell flat on the day. We tried, we gutsed it out. But at the end of the day, there's a lot to learn from them. We'll talk about a few other things through the chat today, but that's sort of in summary, sort of my feelings overall. But I have to say, I was extremely proud of the boys for the whole season. 15 wins. We came third. I was mentioning earlier, I remember sitting there and staying till the very end, watching the 66-0 flogging that we copped to Newcastle a few years ago. It was a dark day. I remember I've got photos of the kennel, an empty kennel, very few people there. But we stuck it out, those who were there, and it was a demoralising day. So to come in leaps and bounds this way, and the only thing that sort of, derailed us a little bit was the media. Just loving the fact that we were an easy target. Let's attack the Bulldogs because their supporters they're very hungry for all the press. So let's go after them with any narrative we can create because that'll get us clicks, etc. So I think everyone should be proud of the effort of the team. We shouldn't have to worry about all the media stuff, but we all, especially this site, and Michael, I think a lot of credit goes to you standing up for the team the whole year. And I think anyone who's been listening to Michael and reading what Michael's written, I think he's basically been true to everything that we've believed, and you've kept us on track and given us the real stories and the real information that we had to see and the positivity against all of the negativity that we kept fighting and all the told you so's and all the, Seraldo apologies and whatever people are creating. So thank you for your support on that, but also to everyone else on this chat. Thanks for supporting, but there's going to be some big times coming ahead, and I'm really excited. I know it's disappointing, but I'm really excited. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Gas. That was a beautiful introduction and a really good analysis. There's not much I can add to that, but I will add a little bit. But before I do, I'll actually give Joeby just a bit of a chance just to sort of get in between some of those points and anything else that he thought he would see. Probably talk about the Panthers as well a little bit and the Storm. But what's your thoughts, Joeby, on the final series?
Yeah, well, I thought the first game we were unlucky. First of all, we just didn't have any luck. Bronson Cherry goes down very early. Kick-out goes off for 15. Then Critter's off. So that really disrupted things, I think. And then we still nearly won that game. And if it wasn't for that 2 points, if we weren't chasing that 2 points, Kick-out probably doesn't throw that pass. So that made that game difficult. Now, when it comes to the Panthers game, I think just too much disruption at the end of the day. I think new combinations, like we talked about, like Burton having to move out to the centres with a young rookie winger, and he was injured too, which we didn't know on the night, but it actually makes sense when you look at it.
Yep.
Sorry. And then if we look at actually the Panthers played probably the best 40 minutes I've seen any team play this year, which really didn't help us. And also, like, when we were in the arm wrestle, I felt not blaming the ref fully, but I don't think we got any 50-50 calls. Like, every time we tried to dominate them, what it felt like to me, every time we tried to dominate them in the tackle and the ruck, they were either a 6 again or a penalty. They did the same thing to us, and they weren't penalised for it. So I feel that was the case, but I don't want to take anything away from Panthers though, because they were very, very good. I think even if we did get those calls, maybe it's still a struggle, but it certainly wouldn't have been the scoreline that we had though at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like me to talk about
No,
with the Panthers? Or?
No, that was perfectly well said. Gus did a very comprehensive job, and I think you've done well to add to that. Giving credit to the Panthers is important, and to the Storm as well. Like, as I think Phil Gould summed it up well, and sort of it was probably the same feeling many of the fans have, even the fans that have been overly critical in a way. I feel that what the Bulldogs, we all believe we could beat Melbourne in Melbourne. We never felt scared, whether they had Pappenhausen or not. We had 10 line breaks to 3 in that game towards the end of the year. And this is where we sort of parallel to the next topic on on NRL 360 is that when you've got Mr. Buzz talking about the changes coming in and out just to fill a narrative, all the changes were necessary. Like, there was people today talking about, how come they brought Marnie back in because Burton moved to centre. Burton wasn't playing hooker. Like, it's as if people are on social media commenting and kicking us in the guts. And be rest assured, they're only the 10% of the fan base, right? Most of the fan base are just happy to support the team and just on to next year. Can't wait for Vegas and that sort of thing. The silent ones, they call them. And they appreciate all the positivity. A lot of those people have watch this show in silence, and they tell me, But the point I want to make is that these they don't even understand that Sexton came in because we lost Cherry the week before, and Burton for 3 weeks in a row was forced to move into the centres after about 5 minutes of the match, right? We had Critter having to come in after the Manly game and play fullback with Carraz because Tracy was injured. All these changes to our spine were not by design. They were by necessity because we had players like Montoya were out, Anari Tuala was then out. You know, and instead of sort of bringing in Blake Wilson, they went with Jethro Renikama, the future, and they tried to get our best 17 on the field, our best players on the field, even if they were carrying injuries, to get connection with those players to give us a chance to prepare properly because that's sort of what had to happen. And, you know, it was just like, you know, obviously I have to explain it for some people. Burton went to the centres, so that means Sexton goes to the halves and Marnie had to come in to fill a space because Crichton wasn't in the 17 anymore. Like, it's pretty bloody obvious what happened. And then everyone got what they wanted, which was, including us, like, this is what people need to understand about this podcast as well, is that we do see things that other people who criticise see as well. And we might have the exact same questions, but we leave those questions to the club. We don't try and destabilise the club and say they don't know what they're talking about. There's a whole team of people that are working with the players every single day. And it's not just the coaches, it's the medical staff who have to get these guys right and then give them the tick and say, okay, they might be carrying 3 shoulder injuries, but under pain medication, they'll be right to get through if you keep them going, you know. You've got that. I can hear myself in the background, so somebody's got their volume up. You've also got this scenario where people are criticising all the disruption again, and they're not looking at to what actually happened. The coaches had no option. So now we've even got people saying that, like I did an article yesterday that clearly said Burton is our 5'8". He's the best 5'8" in the club, and he's going to be the 5'8" in the club and in our halves, as long as he's here. Now, if he decides that he wants to take big money, because he's $1 million player now, but on our cap he's only worth 750 grand. If he's going to try and agitate for money, or he knows he can get it, and he's got things he wants to do with his career and life, the Bulldogs aren't. Gus Gould's not a person to stand in people's way deliberately if they've got a chance to make better of themselves. You know, it's. People can say what they want, but if he's going to leave at the end of 2026, a year early, or even at the end of 2027, he might move to the centres so that they can develop Galvin and develop those players and develop it. It's not just Woods and Galvin that are in our club developing either. There's other players they've got signed who could do really well, like the Cassius Tiers. He's got swag, that guy. He's got size. He's got physicality. He is a talent, and he could find himself doing something next year as well. So there's so much in the depths of our team that they actually want to start getting that grind of NRL happening as soon as they can, so that they can use these players that they know are going to be generational players for the club. But for them to come in and get cranking, some good players are going to have to make way for them. And that's just a reality we have to face. And if that means we take a dip, we take a dip. But the last bit about these games on the weekend, the Penrith Panthers, this is one thing I want to say. 2 years ago, if the Penrith Panthers had 10 of their players out and just had, say, 3 or 4 first graders with their reserve grade side, and they played our best 17, they'd still beat us by 20 points, which is what happened, right? That happened twice, and they flogged us, where they were missing 7 or 8 players. If you take Nathan Cleary out of that side, if you take Isaiah Yeo out of that side, if you take Mitch Kenny out of those side, just one of those 3 players, and you give us Critter back, I can tell you there's not 20 points between those 2 teams. And you bring Critter back, and we've got that stability back across. That one player comes back, there's a lot more stability there. There's a lot more belief there. And, you know, that's, for me, is a massive point that we need to make. And I'm just going to put it out to you fans now that are listening, and I want you to start putting it in the chat I've got to work out how to do polls and stuff while we're live. I will work that out. But I want you to tell me, is Stephen Crichton our best player? And let me know. I'll ask you guys, is Stephen Crichton our best player?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Most influential player as a captain and as a player.
Joeby? You don't have to agree.
No, I think Burton's more important than Crichton. But I think Crichton's he's the most talented player.
Okay.
I just think the position, I think without Burton's kicking game, I think we struggle a lot more. That's the only reason I say that.
Yep. Very good point.
But it's like it's neck and neck because Burton's kicking game, Crichton's like the way he makes the team feel when he's in the things that you don't see, obviously, is really important too with Critter, his leadership and stuff like that. So I can't say, but I think Burton and Crichton, I'd put them nearly equal.
Okay, guys, we're going to go through some of the chats now. We will get to everyone's chat, or if people ask the same question as someone else, it'll sort of it won't pop up. We're not going to force you to pay to speak to us to get heard, or have people pay and then get paid back for paying to encourage other people to pay. We're not going to do that either, which happens in some podcasts, so I've been told. But if you want to pay us, feel free. We're happy to split up $5 each or $3 after tax and take $1 each anytime. We've all got kids, so and pets. We've got cats and dogs. And Gas doesn't like dogs, and I don't think you got dogs either, do you, Joby?
Not anymore. I got a cat now.
I've got a vicious little Maltese Terrier and a vicious Kelpie cross.
I like this dog.
Staffy.
I like this dog.
Yeah, he's a pretty good one.
770. It stretches to fit around my head, and it actually just looks like I've got a normal size head. And I got the Heritage jersey, got the last 5XL or whatever it is. It's probably a 6XL, but I just say
I got to get one of those. I want one of those so bad.
So we are going to talk about the rumours, guys. We're going to talk about the signings. All right, Gas, tell me which ones to bring up. Which chats?
Yep. So we can talk about Doggies for Life is asking if we saw what Mason said about the team.
Yeah, I did, and I actually had no problem with it. See, because Mason attacked the whole team for just see. Mason sums it up pretty simply, which a lot of footballers do, which is what you've got to sort of give them the benefit of the doubt, right? You're down by 34-8. It doesn't matter. It's not good enough. Doesn't matter what anyone says, whatever excuses are. Doesn't matter. You haven't turned up on the day. That's fucking shit, right? You're out. You stuffed it. We can add context to it. We can strip it down. I can sit there and talk about the missed tackles, which someone else has raised as well. But at the end of the day, Mason's got every right to say that, just like ex-players said to him back in 2006 when him and that team let a premiership go, in many people's opinions, by leading 20-0 at half-time or whatever it was and losing and copping 31 points in the second half. He copped it on the chin. And this team's going to cop that as well. It's fair enough. What's your thoughts, guys?
I think Willie's earned the right to say what he says, and the thing is, he doesn't say it out of malice. He loves the team. No. I mean, you watch him and Josh. I love that. I think I sent it to you, but I love that reaction. Of them watching. Was it Melbourne when they got the interception?
The intercept.
So anyone who loves a team. And he has more right than us to sort of criticise the effort of the whole team, because he also knows what it takes to play in these big games too. So I don't have a problem with it. It's not something I'd say because I think I'm not Willie Mason. But yeah.
What about you, Gas?
Look, I'm happy with it, like you said, because he's talking about the whole team and the performance. And look, and he would have been just as upset as we were. with the result because, everyone's, invested in these performances. But just to add to what you were saying before, everyone's always looking at, Reed Marnie. Everyone, oh, yeah, we got Reed Marnie back in the team. But you got to remember the week before when Bailey Hayward played, he played 80 minutes and he played after copying a pretty severe head knock as well and a gash. And he had to, survive in a brutal game down at Melbourne. So, Serralda did the right thing and basically rested him. He only played Marnie, for the first 25 minutes? And then he put Bailey on there, and we look obviously good when Bailey came on. So, it's in, like you said, in context. Yeah, when you look at it in context, there you go.
No misses.
There you go. So when you put it in context, yes, we started with Marnie, but it wasn't because of the uproar. If that was the case, Serralda would have changed the team, weeks ago, months ago. But he hasn't listened to anyone or anything outside noise. He's been focused on what he's doing, and he's been working within everything that we've got. Challenges we've had, injuries, suspensions, origin, then more injuries, all these things to deal with all the way through the year. Plus, there's a lot of injured players that we still don't even know about, like Michael said. So all of that put together, it's context, like you say. So people don't always see that.
I'll tell you a little media trick as well. See, there's a lot of corporations and there's a lot of people who get really bad press and they say nothing, right? Absolutely, they just do not respond to it. And the reason they don't, and it's the same as the Bulldogs with the changes. As soon as so the media is criticising you for doing these changes, and if they go and change the team back to what it was, they then get criticised for that, like the media never asked for it. The media continually said, that same media place, that we needed a halfback and we needed a fullback and we needed all these players. And they never stood by Sexton. They knew he wasn't going to be the answer. And as soon as we got someone, they criticise us. Okay, they're always going to criticise the response. They criticised Reed Marnie the whole time until it looked like he was leaving. Then he became part of the narrative. The poor Reed Marnie narrative. And look, and he cried on the weekend, because he's an emotional guy. We've been saying it here for every single week. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. If he gets bad news, he doesn't like it. He reacts. If he gets good news, he loves it. He's happy. When you could see when he first did interviews for Canterbury as captain, he was nervous as hell. He could barely put two words together. He's come a long way as a man, but he's still got some things to sort out. And it would have been really hard for him leaving this team. And they've made mates for life, even if they pissed each other off, even if they had falling outs between each other and whatever else. That's because they're so connected. I don't think people realise the gravity of how Serrato's had to manufacture connection at a quicker rate than any other team. That Panthers side have got between 5 and 11 years of playing experience in that side still, of players training with the top 30 from 5 years ago when they were 17 and 18, those Jesse McLean brothers and that sort of stuff. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, they only had 5 players in their lineup that weren't local juniors. And they're all good players. Isaiah Papali, West Tigers bought him for 700 or 800 grand. Luke Garner was one of West Tigers' best players. They got him on the cheap. Paul Alamotti, a kid that we'd already paid 500 grand or 600 grand over 3 years before he played a game, had quite a few injuries, plays 3 games, and then all of a sudden it gets to May and he's meeting with Todd Payton with the Cowboys and they're talking about 600 grand a year for this kid. And the way our fans treated him, in a kid that was I've always said it, if you're on the wing and your middle's getting busted and you're getting rolled through in games and you're giving away penalties and you miss reads and you're missing tackles and you're copping, it's the wingers and the centres that are going to get the most traffic and get exposed the most, and then it's the halfbacks, okay, defensively. So those 3 players just get walked on. All the teams coming last, if you go look where all their tries are conceded, it's through those spots. And it's not because their kids can't tackle or can't defend. it's because their system has been trampled on, and they're the ones where they cop it. So he copped a lot of shit from our fans that he didn't deserve either. And for him, it is a little bit of retribution. And I wish him all the best. But, you know, the Dogs had Cherry and Carraz and all these other players, Josh Adokar. There was just no spot for him, which is why he was meeting with the Cowboys and stuff. People were trying to tell me, oh, he would have stayed for minimum. No, he wouldn't have. It was an under-19 rep who was already holding the club, getting paid way more than we could afford just to keep a junior at that point. Now the juniors are like, please don't let me go. I'll stay for nothing. And some of them are staying for nothing and then being let go, and they feel absolutely devastated by it. You know, and some of them might actually end up and turn out and be pretty good. But that's a business that this Bulldogs team's got to run to get the best of the best in what they believe. And they're not going to get it right 100% of the time. So,
can I say something about the Sexton? Oh, you're right.
Huh?
Can I say something quickly about the Sexton narrative?
Yep.
I just wanted to put it in perspective because I was thinking about this afternoon. They were talking about how Sexton and Marnie got us to the top of the table, and then we switched it around and all of that sort of stuff, right? We look at the Canberra Raiders. The Canberra Raiders come first, and then what happens when they got to the final? What did Fogarty do? He wasn't quite good enough to hit those major moments, right? So just because a halfback is, and I'm not bagging out Fogarty, I'm just saying that just because a halfback is good enough to get you to the top of the table in the regular season doesn't mean when you get to finals that he's going to be able to compete with the Jerome Hugheses, the Ben Hunts, the Nathan Clearys, and in those crucial moments at the end of the game. So it's funny how they look at the Sexton narrative and say that he got us to the top of the table, but it doesn't mean that in those big games he was going to be good enough to win us in those big moments. You know what I mean? We saw that with Fogarty. They really struggled when they needed to get a field goal or set up for a field goal or whatever. And that's not bagging out Fogarty. I'm just saying that a team that comes first in the regular seasons, the finals is a different story. You know what I mean? So I think
and where's
it's a
Fogarty
narrative
going?
that's not correct. He's going to man.
And are they keeping Fogarty? Are they keeping him?
No.
No.
And it's for that reason.
I can't believe they've let a team at the top of the ladder would let their fullback leave the club, bro. That's what he said about Sexton. And
yep.
Where's the equality in the narrative?
Well, there isn't.
See, for Canterbury, the narrative is that any player that leaves, the Dogs let them go, or the Dogs kick them out. Whether we're coming last or first, it wouldn't matter. We kick the player out. It's never, oh, this player's left because they've got a better opportunity for more money that suits them, and it's actually a life decision they want to make. You know, it's never that.
Yeah, that's right. Now Gus just needs to go on Buzz's podcast, and then we'll get some good we'll get some good stories because Ricky goes on there. They love Ricky. Oh yeah, he hates him. It was a joke, but like the thing is, Buzz loves Ricky Stewart. That's the difference at the end of the day. He's not going to bag Ricky out.
Oh look, Ricky would absolutely, like, if in the middle of a game, if Gus said something to Ricky tell him to F off, you know, but after the game, he'd be best mates with him again, you know?
Yeah.
People have tried to make out that because Gus sacked Ricky, right? That they've got bad blood between them. And that's the whole thing. Like, they might not be sending texts all the time. All the texts.
But I just thought that was a different way to think about the narrative, you know what I mean? Because it just like I heard yesterday, Bulldogs have a very good in-season team right now. We're beating 90% of the teams, but it's those last 10%, you know, those final four teams that we struggle against, and that's because we're not a finished product yet. You know, we're not where Panthers are. Anyway, we might get to that later as well, but yeah.
I think Mughutt's Gas makes a really good point that both the Raiders and Dogs were very unlucky to lose their first semi-final, which ended up killing both these teams' chances. And it's 100% right. Like, people want to sit there and somehow relate the end of season run to whether we were going to be good enough at the end. I can get the stuff about not resting players, but it's still hindsight, because we could have rested Burton and rested all these players and then lost Max King or lost an important player out of the forward pack that we would have needed in order to have a chance to beat these sides. We could have lost anyone at any time. They're not going to rest the whole side. There was players that needed to play to get match fitness and whatever else. Like, we
lost Crichton in the final.
Their fitness too. Like, Preston was feeling it mid-Origin, and then he got those 4 weeks break, and then he sort of had to take. He didn't really start hitting form till about the last 5 weeks. He sort of plateaued at about a consistent, he was still working hard, making his tackles, but he wasn't breaking tackles. Last 5 weeks, he started breaking tackles again. You've got to. It's a whole season. They've got to manage these players over, and they're trying to do it the best they can.
Keep working through those chats, Michael.
All right, let's go, brother.
Yeah. So if he'd gone to the bin, more than likely run the ball and score. There's every chance, maybe. Early momentum. Could have shifted the momentum of the game. You never know.
Yeah.
Keep moving, mate.
This one, Doggy 61 missed tackles versus Storm, then back it up, Penrith 50 missed tackles. That is dreadful for best defense all year. What the hell happened to the Doggies, bro? I'll answer this one.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm actually looking at the stats, and there's a bit of whataboutisms here, right? The coach said it at the end of the year. We play a style of football where we can hold possession and win a lot of tackles, and teams can't exploit us or get around us or just don't have those top tier class players to beat us. They can't target us or get on a roll on, right? Against these good sides, especially when we're weakened through injuries, weakened through displacements, which is what happened in the last 6 rounds. Well, not by choice, by circumstance. We started giving away more penalties. We started not the spacing in our defensive line started to get exploited. Like Melbourne, for example, targeted our edges and tried to isolate players like Haywood and Galvin and even Burton to a point. He got isolated and struggled on a couple of occasions. I remember that break that they made down the sideline by Wishart. It was we're probably one of the best sides at not missing tackles that lead to line breaks. Like, most sides have players missing tackles, which leads to line breaks. Teams either have to get around us or get it through kicks or whatever it is, We're not conceding line breaks on our halfway line for a missed tackle where teams run and score. So when it comes to 61 missed tackles, that is a lot. Bailey Haywood, for example, he missed 13, but he attempted 65. He made 51, and about 9 of the 13 that he missed were just him running from marker, diving at the ankles of players, right, that were able to skip out of it, but none of them made any sort of ground from it. But there was probably 2 or 3 where he sort of got bumped off under fatigue. It was the first time he played hooker in the middle for 80 minutes and down 2 interchanges for half the game. So it was a magnificent job, especially, which was mentioned earlier. He copped that knock in the face. And that contributed highly to our tackle count. There was other players who missed like 6 and 7 and 8. But the Melbourne Storm missed like 45 or 50 tackles with 52% possession. Penrith, the reason that we missed that many tackles in the first half is because they had 21 from 21 sets completed in one half of football, which is about 1 or 2 sets short of the record, okay? Completed sets of 6 with a few penalties, which made it worse. We're able to score off most of them. Of course our guys are going to miss fucking tackles. and missing cover tackles after, you're the last line of defense and you're coming across, you're going to miss a tackle there. For the most part, in the second half, we missed 8 tackles, and Penrith missed 35 in the second half. They still won by 20 points. I know it's easy to sit there and go, okay, well, we still lost the game. We still lost many of the moments and whatever else. We were a disrupted outfit. Matt Burton, when you go watch it, he's favouring that shoulder, so he was passive. And what people need to understand is that when you're carrying an injury, your muscle memory forces you into certain things, just naturally. So under sufferance, you're just going to protect yourself even when you don't want to, when you've got an injury. It's just the way it is. You've got it. It hurts. I'm not making excuses, but Matt Burton doesn't have 22 touches of a football in a game of rugby league for Canterbury unless there's something really wrong. And especially when we've got a majority of possession in that second half. He also got crunched on that shoulder a couple of times and singled out. So it was like Penrith. See, this is what's also happening for some analysis for those watching at home. Those people in the box, right? And I've been told this, right? The level of detail of what they're watching, not just watching their own team, but they're sitting there constantly watching what's happening with the other team. They're picking out what people have got injuries in certain parts, and especially the good sides. Like Bellamy be like, fucking rip that cunt's fucking arm off, right? I don't want to see him with an arm, like it's that sort of Neanderthal shit that these guys are talking about. Attack Burton's shoulder, attack his shoulder, drive it in. Penrith also played like men and we played like boys a little bit in certain ways. Like Nathan Cleary in the 52nd minute with Paul Alamotti does a high tackle on Tracy while Tracy's laying prone on his back. Cleary from second marker has got his fists like this, grinding it into his face, and Alamotti's got his on Tracy's neck. And then the next set, Alamotti does it again to Tracy and to Rinakama. And it's been, guess who was standing there watching it a metre away? The fucking touch judge. So these sort of tactics, and that was the Melbourne Storm for nearly the whole game. There's players like Liero and Grant from second marker, pressure on the neck, fucking things in the ribs. These are all things that people don't talk about. Oh, that's just part of rugby league. Look, in a way, I'm glad they don't penalise those things. It's fair game. But when Klein sits there and sends Hudson Young off for celebrating a try and then getting headbutted for it, but then he's not going to penalise that. And then the match review committee gets that tackle and fines Cleary $1,000 for what he did with basically his chest smashed Connor Tracy in the face. But for the grubby stuff afterward, it's not even talked about or mentioned. It's nowhere.
Well, and Reimani got penalised for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
He got an elbow to the face and they penalised him straight away. Yeah. And that's the issue I had too, because I felt like in the second half of on that context though, I will say that Bulldogs, the way they defend, do naturally miss more tackles. I mean, kick out because they put so much pressure on, but those missed tackles don't end up line breaks. It's a bit of a misleading it is a misleading stat, because when you do a up and in defense, you will miss more tackles just naturally. But I also think in the second half of the season, they were hard on the Bulldogs. They weren't letting them do what they were doing earlier on in the season. And I'm not sure what that was about, where the coaches started complaining about the way we were controlling the ruck or what. But it seemed like to me that things we were getting away with early in the season, they weren't letting us get away with in the latter part of the season. Yeah, but it's interesting because
that straight up and pretty succinctly this time. There is an element of that, but there's also an element as we had more changes, like Montoya had to come out because he'd been carrying an injury. You had Bronson was carrying injuries. We had all these suspensions. We had Salmon, Tupanua, King was out, Preston was out, Carraz was out. All these players are out. So when you've got the other players coming in and they start getting under fatigue, they don't get, they get left in the ruck. They don't get the exact right positioning on the tackle. So like they fall on the other side of the tackle where they would normally, where they're trying to drive them into a certain point. Yeah. And that leads to more missed tackles and stuff, and leads to more problems. And what you'll see is teams actually, when they get to play where they want to play, they're a lot harder to beat. And I sort of look at the Dragons game in that as well, where I was like, this is the final phase. I'm expecting us to win this game. They completed the highest they had all year. We weren't getting them down the way we wanted to or needing to. We're losing the penalty count back going back to then. And they're a pretty big pack as well. So it's sort of it's a mixture of not having that extra middle, which, look, and well done to the coach to say it after the year. Like, people, I think Abraham, who gives us a lot of questions and stuff, and he said he'd love Serraldo and Gus to be more transparent about the team and our weaknesses and all that sort of stuff, and to tell the fans that. And I said, why would Serraldo go and tell his team that they're too small? If you're going to go and tell your team that they're too small and they're not good enough, do you think they're going to fight for you? Do you think they're going to win if you give them an excuse? Answer that for me, guys. Like,
oh no, that's ridiculous. He can't do that. He can't do that, and he knows the weaknesses we've got, but we don't have anyone to fix it. I mean,
we got to develop it.
Do you want to talk about? I don't know if you gave me the list, but do you want to talk about the squad versus squad situation that we have? Because if you look at what Serraldo is doing with our squad doesn't make most of the other top four squads. The players in our side, particularly our forwards, like if you go from player to player, we are at a disadvantage. But Serraldo's he's squeezing every bit of the juice he can out of what we've got. And I think to expect Serraldo to come out and say, oh, we don't have the forward pack, well, what does that do for the forwards we do have? It's just it's gonna make them feel like they can't win.
I think we'll go through that before we start looking at what our best 17s and that'll be. G'day. Thank you, Rhett. Much appreciated, brother. Rhett gave us $8, so thank you, Rhett.
Thanks, Rhett.
We'll get half a beer at the Novotel.
Yeah. Those beers nearly killed us. That was ridiculous. $15 schooners, wasn't it?
4 beers and didn't realise it cost him $60.
Cranberry juice.
I'm like, I'll buy you a jersey as a payback. It's getting ridiculous, isn't it? But yeah, thank you so much, Rhett. We really appreciate that, mate. Really appreciate it. And you didn't have to, do it to ask a question, but give us some more questions, Gas.
Yeah. So Tim was asking a couple of questions which we can cover. He's talking about Foreign returning to the club as well. News article about that. And James mentioned that as well. O'Sullivan and Foreign meant to the halves earlier as well. So, so top 30 review. You can have a look at that. Yeah, but you can talk about the Foreign and Sean O'Sullivan if you like.
Oh, here we go. And James, thank you for being a member, brother, and thank you, Timmy. And Timmy's got another one about kick out in the middle, which was a big feature on the kennel last night. And what was his name? Tiam Ram, who's been on here lots of times. Calling Kickow a cat. Oh, he's too much of a cat to go in the middle. All right. Okay. Go say that to his face, brother.
Yeah. I can tell you now there's not a rugby league player that'd agree with that. They hate Kickow running at him. I think it was Cooper Cronk talking about it. Exactly. Poor Teddy Flaminel. He got laid out. Didn't he do it? Did he do it to him twice or once?
Twice.
It was
twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
I just want to get to Rhett's comment about I feel like Galvin and Preston were the best It was Galvin and Preston versus the best Panthers. So yeah, they really and basically they were the two who put on 4 tries against the reserve Penrith side. So they were just as susceptible. Their system was susceptible there, which to me, when we talk about the prelims, is something that Brisbane will be taking advantage of. But going back
Do you
to
think
Timmy,
that they did have an injury on that side too? Though you got to remember, Mick. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, McLean was struggling, 100%.
Yeah,
and that shows a good halfback, hey.
Exactly.
Andrew Johns watched us not, lose the second game in a series. We should have smashed Queensland because we didn't target Thurston. We didn't target him.
Galvin
we had
picked
a
up on
half
it
a game
away.
to target him and smash him, and no one ran there. Johns was ropeable. What did Galvin do? People were saying he was hogging it and should have went to the left. He went to where the injuries were, and and we scored 3 tries down that end. Anyway, Sean O'Sullivan. So Sean O'Sullivan's going to take the place of Drew Hutchison. I released an article yesterday on all things Bulldogs and the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs supporters group, and I basically said that he's been heavily linked, knowing he was coming, and basically he was just going to be the Drew Hutchison of the team. Really influential around the young guys. Good skill set, good mindset. He wants to become a coach. Does Sean, and his dad's very smart, Peter O'Sullivan, in the game. So look, just fills a part in our roster where he can come in and help out if need be. I don't consider him a first grader. I never have. But he's got immense knowledge of how to play the game. And some people like that can come out and just produce an outstanding performance when you really, really need it. I've seen it over the years. And they're worth their 250 grand or whatever it is, peanuts that they're going to get, we shouldn't call it peanuts, but compared to the salary cap, it's about 1%.
Yeah.
And Kieran Foran, if he's going to come and be a trainer or an assistant with our club for 3 days a week, good on him. Very, very smart, intelligent guy. Really knows about what you got to do in order to give space to your outside men. And that's something that and how to no one straightened up the attack. No one in the game has straightened up the attack better than Kieran Foran.
Yeah.
And he broke his body doing it. So
love Kieran.
They're a tough bloke. So who else we got there, brother? Let's get through as many as we can.
Yeah. So Burton, when we were asking, Burton is our best in attack, Crit our best in defence. But you got to remember also when Burto was missing after round 2, Bailey came in. We still kept, playing strong without him. So we beat Cronulla, I think, off memory without Burto as well. So we still were able to get some results. But in these big games, Critter's defence speaks volumes. And I think if you remember the first Penrith game we played, 8-6, Critter's defence with Tracy's last line of defence really kept us in that game. It was, it's vital against those top teams to have your best defensive players. I mean, it's goes without saying. So that's probably why for me, like Critter and just his leadership, like the guys really rally behind him. You see, he leads by example. He picks his moments in a game as well. He's not one of those guys that's, taking every hit up and doing it. He'll pick his moments, but when you need him to stand up, as everyone saw in the Canberra game, he can stand up. So he also played majority of the year injured as well. So he's one guy that had to pick his moments. He had to pick his moments. So, and he refused to get up. Look at this week, last week. Even with what he had, he still tried to get back. He was sleepless nights, rehabilitation around the clock to try to get himself on the field, just to show the kind of person he is. And that would have rallied the team as well, knowing that he was doing everything he can. So it's sometimes
I reckon there's a bee's dick between him and Burton as our most best and influential player. And I'm not going to argue with anyone who says one's better over the other. I love them both. I think Critter's a better leader, obviously, but Burton's is growing into that role. I think Burton had the best preseason he's had in years, and he was actually ready to have a massive influence in our team. You can see that first 20 minutes against the Titans before he got injured. He was just absolutely on fire. And again, he's one of these players. He's one of these, comparing to a horse, needs a couple of runs under his belt to get cranking. Kickout's the same. A lot of players are the same, actually, but he's just that big strider, and then he can start doing what he's got to do. But he gets that knee injury. It causes other issues in your legs as well. He's carrying it all year. He isn't taking the conversions for that reason. I felt that he had a good season. I felt defensively he was, for the most part, was really switched on this year as well. Really knew what he was doing in that role. And it wasn't until a couple more injuries and stuff that he started to sort of miss a couple of tackles and sort of go in and out. But look, he put the team on his back against Melbourne when Critter went off, and that just showed me we've got such a player in our squad. And he might price himself into another team, which is what we'll also talk about as well. Because
I'd hate to lose him, but I think it's inevitable.
I think the great thing about our system, though, is, as we talked about, Bailey Hayward come in when Bailey was basically supposed to start coming in and playing 20 minutes of hooker pretty early in the season, for him to have to then go to 5'8" and do a wonderful job and have really good moments of lock. And then they had to build up his minutes, knowing what was coming. And, there was all this sort of stuff that they sort of had to do, which is all part of the now, but also of the future. Because next year is don't just expect top four because we get a big prop forward in. I think there'll be a few more players leave the club that we probably don't even know about. I think there'll be, which is normal. I think there'll be quite a lot of juniors coming to our top 30, which we're going to fall in love with, but they're going to need that time to adjust. And a player like Burton may be out of our club at the end of next year. But all the stuff's been dismissed by Phil Gould, but no one's going to believe it until it doesn't happen or happens. So it's going to remain there. All of the headlines are going to stay there for the next however long, and people just need to block it out. Boycott that. Don't share those. Don't go to groups and share Fox articles just because it scares you, or just don't even click on it. Read the headline, read the comments, get the meta thing, and see what the comments are talking about the article. Don't click on it, because every time we click on their article, that encourages them to do another one the same. That's the only way to do it. David made a good point. Critter can do a 20-metre hit up and carry blokes on the way. Critter can do it when he's injury-free. Yeah, that's the great thing about him. He can walk into a defensive line and they can't push him back. Like, I think I've seen him give ground 3 times in the last 4 years. And I think twice of those were in Origin. When, the team was busted and whatever else and buggered.
And also,
I'm confident we make the top 4 because I think our system is so reliable season-wise, like during the season. I'm confident we can make the top 4 again. Definitely the top 6 anyway. But sorry, mate, I didn't mean to butt in there, guys.
No, I was going to say, mate, special mention to Burto for kicking 8 from 8 in the finals. So,
mate, his goal kicking was remarkable.
I know some of those were rushed, but he nailed a few from the sideline against Melbourne as well. But he never looked like missing in the finals. So that was an awesome effort from him as well. To keep it coming.
All right, I'll just go through these quickly. Timmy, the news article will be on the Facebook groups. I think Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs News posted it. I think it's on Zero Tackle. G'day, Scary 79. Mughearts, Wood 7, Galvin 6. It could happen if Birdo's sort of said that he's leaving the club at some point, or that we'll know because he'll play centres. if Birdo's intending to stay and fighting to stay, he'll be playing in the halves. I'm pretty sure Woods is going to get a chance against Galvin and Burton to play halves through the preseason. So they're going to say, look, this is a clean slate. You go and prove to us who's ready to go. And if there's no setbacks for Woods, he's got a good chance of playing halfback. But anyone who thinks he's going to come into this NRL and just dominate from day one are setting themselves up for a bad year. That, you might as well think you're going to win Lotto every week because it's just very unlikely. Although there's a chance,
What?
I'm telling you, there's a chance.
Do we think? That
Margus also said about Graham giving it to Ashley Klein. Well done.
Yep.
Big support on that.
I love Jimmy. He always backs us.
Yep.
Welcome to Content in Flux.
Do we think
Personally,
we
I
could
want
keep
Palmer to
Burton
come
if we
first.
push him to 13?
Well, he's big enough for it.
He played 13 for Australia.
If you're over 95 kilos, you could be playing 13. And he's not much of a different body type to an Isaiah Yeo and stuff.
Yeah.
No. He's bigger than Bailey Hayward and Kurt Mann.
Oh, much bigger, yeah, and taller as well, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm going to get to, what the Bulldogs need if we're actually going to compete.
That also could be the same for Galvin too when he puts on weight. That could
I think
work.
Galvin's
for
our
either.
13 in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have another 6. I think Cassius Tia can come into that argument as well.
But I think if you play Burton or Galvin, doesn't matter which one, I think you can pay $1 million for a 13. Like the Panthers would be paying $1 million or close to it. They'd be paying at least $950 for Isaiah Yeo. And if he can play
I
at
made
that
in
level,
the article yesterday is that you can't. No one sells Isaiah Yeo. No one sells Cameron Murray. No one sells Patrick Carrigan. You keep those players because if they can play 70 minutes in the middle and deliver the ball like a halfback, or take the hit up and make ground and get a quick play the ball away, and just tackle till they're dead. See, we've got that position covered, but we need 2 players to do it and 3 interchanges. Now, because of that, and the fact that we need to carry an extra hooker, which was identified by a lot of the fans carrying on about Marnie, because I remember I've got a photographic memory in a way, and a short-term memory loss, but photographic memory. Try and work that out. These same people were sitting there saying, we need 2 hookers like the good teams. Look at Penrith. They got Mitch Kenny and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, the club identified that, and then nobody sort of understood what was going on and then was carrying on about it. Maybe that's one of the reasons Marnie's left our club, is because he's not an 80-minute player. Proven over many big games, against the best I'm talking about. This is where they rate their cap. We've got a rotation, and we've got a rotation, and we've got the players that we've got, and we play a game style to fit that the best that we can. And they can get it done against a lot of teams, but against the best sides, they can't. Or it's much harder, is what I'm saying. And if you don't get any luck and don't get anything go your way, you're just pushing shit uphill. And then if you lose your centres 2 or 3 weeks in a row, it throws everything out. It's the worst position to lose in the game. Wingers or centres are the hardest to cover. Like, they cover them, but so we need to have 2 hookers and 2 locks. It doesn't leave you much room to develop a big prop forward that can only play 20 minutes before they run out of puff completely. There's no room for it, which is why we've had to continually pick mobile people who can keep their legs moving and keep getting back into the line and keep running up with the line speed to do the work we need to do to give us the best chance to win. We get a player that can play 13 in that capacity, that's going to allow us to develop those bigger boys on our bench and carry those extra forwards. But we can't buy them either. Leo Thompson was the first sort of close to marquee prop that's actually we've won the signature for, that we could fit under a cap. And he came to us for unders, which is a real good sign for the coaching that Cameron Serrato is doing with players like Leo Thompson's not stupid. He can see where Max King has come from and where Kurt Mann has come from, who is his teammate. He's gone from fringe player to origin player in 1.5 seasons. Like, they're not stupid. They know who the good coaches are. And we've got him for unders. And, we have to, there's no other marquee props on the market. We have to develop from within. It's just a cold fact.
That's why I think if we can develop Galvin, or it doesn't matter which one, Galvin or Burton, into a lock that can play 80 minutes at a high level. And I think when I saw Burton play lock for Australia, that's why I actually really liked what he did. He looked very dangerous. He's quick through the middle. He can pass the ball, and he still probably can do his kicking from there as well. Then then you can still warrant him under the salary cap, if you know what I mean. But that's whether he wants to do it.
He'd need 2 or 3 pre-seasons to get to that level. But
you mean fitness-wise?
Fitness-wise, but I think Galvin's the one with the engine. If you watch how easily he gets from both sides of the field.
Yep. I'm not arguing that.
He's still got the body of a child. They're all standing there with their shirts off. Galvin's got his shirt on, he'd be feeling pretty insecure with what he's got under there.
And do you want to remind everyone, Mick?
But can you imagine when he gets to Stephen Crichton level of muscle and fitness, what he's going to be? Like, look, this is what people are just completely dismissing. We're talking about a little kid, a little skinny kid who's come in and he just played against the 4-time premiers and had an absolute ball out there and defeated them. What did we beat them? 18-10 in the second half, and they got an intercept and some really lucky calls to get their tries in that second half.
He was quick too. He was quick to score that try to come back in the middle, wasn't he? Like, he ran straight past like, I know Isaiah Yo's not lightning quick, but he's not slow either. Like, he's not that slow.
No. Well, he was
that's what I was going to say. Do you want to remind everyone what position Isaiah Yo started as? So he started as a winger. So he wasn't always this solid middle player. You got to develop these guys. Same as Luke Lewis. Luke Lewis came in as a wing and became an Australian, New South Wales, and a premiership winning, lock, and second row. All of them, they have different starts, and then off they go. Down the order in the chat, Rhett Langlands mentions as well, liking to see Burto at lock and Mitch Woods and Galvin going in the halves. And he goes, imagine if we had Anasta and at lock, if we put him at lock and kept Thurston with Sherwin, for example, in the halves. So
exactly, yeah,
back in the day, So it's the consensus is there. There's a lot of options, and I think the Dogs, to advance on what they've done now, I think they've probably peaked this season with the team they've got, and everyone sort of figured them out. And obviously, we had an unsettled year, as we've discussed. But to evolve, we're going to have to look at these next steps. I mean, Serraldo's going to have to look at these options, as he always says. In the training, we run multiple scenarios. I think they're going to have to run these scenarios and see what works, what doesn't work, what looks good, and go with that. Also, you got to remember Jack Todd came into the team and looked really, really good, looked like a first-grade player, then broke his arm, and we lost him as well. So we just never copped the trick, really, when you think about it. Every time something came through and someone looked good, we kept being on the back foot. And I was going to say one thing, like our guys, testament to them, I think probably the best team in the NRL, I feel, that don't stay down and keep searching for penalties.
Yeah,
I think a lot of other teams in the NRL, they get coached, stay down, fish for a penalty. Our guys,
the Sharks,
unless they're actually,
Sharks annoy the crap out of me when they do that.
Oh man,
they're the worst.
The last 10 minutes of the Melbourne game last week, for example.
Oh, Melbourne's always, yeah. And Munster
Yeah.
throws his hands up every time he.
Panthers when they lost 8-6, or when they beat us 8-6.
Yep.
Isaiah, yeah, look at Cleary and those guys carrying on all game. So
Yep.
our guys, thankfully, like it hasn't been coached in them. I know that these teams are doing a win at all costs. I don't think we need to resort to that, but it does make a difference when they get those 50-50 penalties because they've reviewed it, they put someone on report. Our guys keep getting up unless they're actually down and out, unless they've been hit pretty hard and they're dazed.
Critter will stay down if the team needs a break. I've seen it, but
Yeah.
he's done that twice all year.
Yeah.
That's his experience, that I think.
That's right. It just comes down to at the end of the day, players like Harry Grant and Cleary and all these players, Munster, would literally bite someone's testicle off to win a game of football. Like they would.
Yes.
If that's what they had to do, if that's what it come down to, they would do it. And
Mitchell
if they were told to
Moses
do it, they'd do it. If that was
diving
all the
following the
time.
process,
Yeah.
that's the process they'd follow.
But that's
Harry
why they're
Grant,
maybe
winners
that could
too.
be a
As
good
much as I
headline.
don't, maybe I don't like it, but they're winners. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they will find an edge no matter what way they do it. It's not my favorite way to do it, but I mean, at the end of the day, they win games, don't they?
Yeah,
And
well,
they
I
get
like
very
Marnie,
good at it.
my boy Hayden. If whatever he does, he's gonna. There could be three players. There'd be Cameron Smith standing there, Harry Grant and Reed Marnie. They all do the same thing. Reed's the one who's
Yeah.
going to get pinged for it. My
Oh,
kid
poor
was
old
the same.
Reed. And I don't understand it. He's got such puppy dog eyes. I love him.
Oh, what about
It's
those
like-
ears, those cauliflower ears? You could just nibble on those, couldn't you?
I
Us.
don't know why referees don't like him. Like, he just seems like such a nice person.
All right, let's get through these chats. Norma, moral of the story, mate, is no matter what we do, the media and grubs love to kick us. Margus has given us the players that he thinks should be in the team and who should be out of the team. Norm's asked a question about Woods. Mitch Woods is a prodigy. I think he could play anywhere in the spine from half to hooker to fullback if he focused on it. He's just one of those kids that is great at AFL. He's good at rugby union. He's probably the fastest runner at his school. Probably wins the high jump, the shot put. But, he's just one of those kids. Just an athlete, and he's serious about competing in whatever he does. He's probably the best soccer player and basketballer as well in his school. And ping pong and chess. I would not surprise me. But will he be a great NRL first grader? Yet to be decided. What's happening with the talks at Burton? Or is it just me doing what they do best, talking crap? Look, I think there's some fire here and a bit of smoke, but I don't think that's in relation to him being shopped around or anything like that. People will say that. There's no way our club's shopping him around. He is either got the ability to make more moolah and improve his life. If that's the case, our club would put it this way. If someone says they don't want to be at Canterbury, they're not really going to be forced to stay there until it'll be basically like stay put until we can sort something out. And that's exactly what's always happened. We had Franklin Pele, who was trying to go to Hull because they were offering him more money, but for months and months and months before the club actually let it happen,
I reckon the only
we
way
had to
we'd
work
lose
out-
Burton is I think the only way we're losing Burton is if they're getting Ponga.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. If they're trying to get Ponga, maybe we lose Burton.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well because someone who Content in Flux is welcome to him. He said, personally, I want Ponga to come for us. Look, we'll talk about that, but just in a nutshell, if he decides he wants to be fully invested in rugby league and not have any conditions in his contract and yeah, whatever. But 1.4 million, not
No
happening.
way. No, he's not. No. And I don't want him if he wants 1.4. He's not worth. I'd rather Burton in a really good, a good middle. 1.4 is a lot of money. That's two players, two really good players.
Welcome, Matty Sullivan. Matty's a good bloke, and he introduced me to the guys on the St. George podcast that will, which are a really, really good bunch of blokes. Matty's a really dedicated fan and has his own opinions. But he says, yeah, they call the Raiders year of success, but with us, we were a massive failure. And yeah, that's what I mean. Ricky's the coach of the fucking year, but they went out in straight sets against the Broncos and Sharks.
Yeah, not against
those
Melbourne
two
and
teams,
Panthers.
They're very good and they're due. Don't you get me wrong. I think they could be a big chance of playing in the grand final, both of them. Well, obviously they are because they're in the prelim. But that they're not Melbourne and Penrith. Sorry. And guess what? We should have beat Melbourne. We had a lot more go wrong than they had go wrong. What did they have? They had 2 Broncos in the bin and had a 28-10 lead or something with 20 to go.
And like I said, they had 3 opportunities to win that game, and they
thought they won it 3 times.
Yeah.
And then they lost by 20 points to the Sharks. We lost by 20 points to the 4 times champions. They're probably going to win again. I think the context is absolutely disgraceful. The lack of it.
Panthers. Yeah. I just think.
Good point.
I don't know. I'm biased, but.
Good point here, Gas. What's Norm saying here? Tell me.
Yeah, I think he was mentioning when we were talking earlier about, how we were a couple of years ago losing, heavily for quite a few years. But, if you asked anyone where we were going now, where we are, the turnaround that Ciraldo's done in the time that he's done it, and with the makeshift players that he was able to grab, because what he did was he grabbed a cultural fit. He didn't care about, all the ability. He said, this is the kind of player we want in our team. So when they asked the questions about any player they wanted, Kurt Mann, what's he like? What's he this? What's that? People were answering him about the dedication, the hard work, that's the kind of player we wanted. And Connor Tracy, he was always unlucky with so many injuries, etc. But what kind of a player is? He's an effort player. And you see him every game. Have you seen him even the other day when he was back in firing? He charges that ball up and runs hard and hits the line, does everything with 100%, 110% effort all the time. That cultural fit was what Ciraldo was looking for. It's the old Bulldogs. We could see it there. We could see the old 80s, those Bulldogs that were just tough and gritty and ruthless. There's quite a lot of games this year they were just willing it. They got overrun by injuries and everything else we've discussed, but when they were fresh and ready, they were just going. And that cultural fit that he got into the team, that's the nucleus of the Bulldogs. And that's what anybody coming to the Bulldogs has to live up to. And if they don't for any reason, you find them very quickly disappearing from the team. They come in, they're not exactly who they thought they were. There was a guy that we picked up from the Warriors. There's a few players, they're not exactly who they think they are. They don't fit into that mold. You see them disappearing not longer, or they don't get an opportunity. So that's the most important thing for me. It's that fit, that unity, and that's why you look at the team and they absolutely love spending time together. If anyone has been around training and seen the team outside of the norm, when they're actually training, when they finish, the guys, okay, you're done, training's done, go home. They stay there playing basketball for an hour and a half, having a laugh, having fun, doing whatever, doing extras. You see at the time, Morrit up there, doing pull-ups. All the guys just hang around, just love each other's company. I mean, that's stuff that you can't coach into a team. It's something that you have to, you'd be fortunate to have built in. And we were very lucky to have that, which I think is that tipping point between having a great team and having a team that's good but not enough to get over. And I think that's helped us get the results we got this year. And it's going to continue to do so.
I try and remember back to 2020, I think it was 2022, and when we got a lot of players in 23, I remember my thinking wasn't top 4. I was thinking, I hope we can win the first 2 games so that we win more than 4 games a year.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was. And I think I think people forget that. Like, I remember even when Barrett I remember we won 2 games in a row, and I was like, this is so good because we're going to win more than 4 games. You know, we might even get to 12. You know what I'm talking about? And we forget that so quickly because we looked so good last year, but it was literally when I remember that we're signing Blake Taff, and I remember Connor Tracy and these players. I'm like, we're going to make the top 10 with these players. I wasn't thinking we're going to make the top 4. You know what I mean? So I think we just forget that. We overachieve so much. Well, maybe we didn't overachieve as such, but it happened so quickly that we've just forgotten where we actually were. You know what I mean? And they can say the Raiders have come so far. The Raiders were making the top 8 regularly.
Exactly.
In 2019, they were in the grand final.
Exactly.
If you go look at where we were,
the Sharks. The Sharks won in 2016. They had a little dip, and then when they lost their coach and whatever, then they started making the 8, and they were on the fringe of the 8, and then they started making prelims. They went 2 years finishing in the top 4 and going out in straight sets before they even won a final. So they won a final in the 3rd year, and they've had no disruption. They already had their nucleus there. They have no New South Wales disruption. I think Nico played 1 game of Origin.
1 game.
And 1 off the bench the year before, which Queensland won because he was at centre or something.
And 1 at ADM.
You know, and I think they had Talakai play and McGuinness played in the winning year the year before, so for 1 or 2 games. So they've basically had no disruption to their side. They've got Adam Fanua-Blake into that side. Their juniors were like minor premiers the years. Like they were finishing runner-up in Jersey Flegg to the Mitch Woods team. Like they've got the juniors as well. They've bought, you know, they are a really settled unit. And they're finally starting to achieve. Yet Buzz Rockfield gets on there and says, oh, but they look at the Sharks. They've got Brayley and Hines and Kennedy and what's his fucking I forget his name. Number 6, Trindle. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And they've also got Atkinson as the one who comes in when one of them is out. And that's how it was last year and the year before.
And they also forget that they were, and Buzz was one of them, like wondering if they were criticising, saying Hines wasn't, you know, maybe he shouldn't be. So they haven't been, you know, act like they're like Fitzgibbons made them settled. If they listen to the media, Hines would have been moved around 5 times, and you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Like, so Fitzy's done.
A fullback. He's just a good footballer, like Galvin. They paid him more than he was worth to get him across to their club, because he would have been happily staying at the Storm as their backup fullback. You know, what did the Storm do? They let him go to another club for what? I think he went for like $600,000, and he's been upgraded to $1 million. And then they went and bought Nick Meaney to fill in that role on $250,000.
And they say Galvin's not a half. Well, neither was Jerome Hughes.
Exactly.
Jerome Hughes was a fullback. Yeah. Like, what are they talking about? Munster wasn't a half. Munster was a fullback as well. Exactly.
Lockyer started as a fullback.
Exactly. And become probably,
Just going back to a point Timothy made when we're talking about the touch judge that allowed all that crap to happen to Tracy and the players on the wing from all the grubbiness from Penrith in that game.
Of course it was Sutton. Yeah, of course it was.
Matty said whole team second half of the season was shuffled around, no forward rotation. Poor Kurt Mann was playing a 10 role. Yeah, well, they had to, they just have had to do what they've had to do. And we've played a style in the best way to bank points, to give our club, to give the fans that momentum, to give their fans the belief, to give those players the belief that they can get there and give it a good crack. And I felt that they gave it a good crack. So well done to the club. Brian, and why would you tell other teams your weaknesses? Exactly, Brian. We really tried in our last 5 games. Marcos, I'll say we really tried in our last 5 games, and we had a lot go wrong. very, very tired. You could tell the small ball high intensity took its toll, but Sarah's a master who tweaks certain things. He's basically just doing the best with what he's got while they develop those kids to come through. And as I said, you can't go and buy an Isaiah Yo. You can't buy a Payne Huss without if you want to be able to compete. Gould said this the whole time, and this is why I think teams like the Dragons and that are all going to improve, but we'll do all that as we move into the off-season, through the off-season into the pre-season, assess all the teams and where we think they're going to improve or go backwards. The Dogs are going to be up against it next year, guys. Just get ready for that. Like, I'm going to believe that they can go all the way, but at the same time, I will not be surprised with Serrato is going to earn his money next year, is all I'm saying. And I think he earned it this year. I think he did a fucking great job. And anyone who says different is probably not looking at the big picture, and that is getting players that would not even, as Joeby was saying, I reckon there's 4 players in our team that make the starting side of anyone in the top 8 that we played, maybe outside of the Warriors. So anyone in the top 8, outside of potentially the Warriors, we only get 4 or 5 people into that starting team. Maybe 3 into the starting and maybe 5 or 6 into the 17 if we're lucky. Right? But we've still got way more stars than we used to have. We just probably need that one more star and just get that certain, but we need it in a certain couple of positions if we're going to be a force. Welcome, David. How are you? Too many injuries versus Sharks in the Storm is always going to be tough versus Penrith. Edwards should have been binned. Who knows how the game would have turned out if we have 13 against 10. Norm says no player in the NRL can be called a cat. So I'm just rushing through them, Gas.
You're right, mate. Go for it.
King and Tupanua were phenomenal when they played this year. And they played well in the finals too. Galvin and Preston will become the new Lions Menzies combo. Good call, Norm. Reviewing total points in all games against the Panthers this season, it's 58 all. Well done, Timmy. But I can't sort of stand on that though, Timmy. Reserve grade Panthers, brother.
Yep.
Hurry by Dragons, hate them a touch less than the Zub Para. I reckon Sullivan is pegged to coach. Good pick up, I reckon. Well, I hope he's not pegged too often, though. I'm hearing Jason Taylor will be sacked. Well, Mark, somebody said that. I don't even think Jason Taylor's been sacked. Jason Taylor might move on. Jason Taylor's very much liked.
Got a lot of experience, Jason Taylor. Like, I think people forget that he coached Parramatta and, like, yeah.
Look, Mick Potter's a good coach there, Norm. And I was actually hoping he would have got the job. But his job is to be a hard ass to a lot of the young guys and to tell Serraldo and Gus directly who's going to make it and who's not, in his opinion. And they take that with a lot of, clarity. Kick out could be effective like Tui Kamika in the front row. Satilli can do the same, but bringing in other players like Jack Undell and Luke Smith to develop and play consistent NRL. Kick out's not playing front row, brother. I think you just need to get that. If it happens, it happens, but I don't think it's happening.
It'd be a fun experiment, but I don't know. Yeah.
No.
He's not that player.
He's too skillful as well. You want him out.
Well, he's still
on the edge.
The way that he's still chasing and putting his body on the line at the 80th minute for his size, it's too important. But look, I will say Logan Spinks, his progression, and then another young guy called Jed Reardon. I think Logan Spinks will be debuting next year. I really do, and I think there'll be a transition there. So if Kikau does move sort of into the middle, that might be because we won't be seeing Kikau the following year.
That's
which will
what
be
we did
another
with
leader
Willie
in that
Mason,
club.
remember? Willie Mason started in the back row and they moved him into
Yep.
the forwards.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
he's kind of got that kind of body kicks. I think there is a world he would make a really good middle.
The only way he would do that, obviously, because he'd be actually spending some time on the bench as well if he does
Oh,
that.
he wouldn't be
At
an
the
80-minute middle. Yeah.
At the moment, he preserves himself, so he knows how to come in and out of the game.
Yeah.
And he puts a lot of emphasis on his defense, chasing those kicks down. So that's always his sort of modus operandi at the moment. But if he was to play in the middle, then you can imagine him coming on, having a breather around the half-time mark, coming out fresh and hot and running. So could work. He could try to mimic a little bit of Payne Haas, potentially, that kind of effort when he's out there, but he won't have the same minutes, obviously.
I'd pick him off the bench with Leo Thompson and King. I'd put Leo Thompson King starting, and then you'd bring Kikau off the bench and have him like a Spencer Leniu type, where he not the same way, but have him as an impact player. Because he's 116 kilos and he's quick. He's big, like he's already big. You know what I mean? And he's got a good
plays
offload.
like a Cassiano type player.
Yeah. He doesn't have to play huge minutes in the middle, but he wouldn't be able to play 80 minutes in the middle. No way.
No.
I think we might see a transition there. The thing about Kikau, he's also a ball player out there as well, which it's like sometimes he floats around and Burto sort of moves to centre as they're running, and then they do a 1-2 punch.
Like it's also very attractive because of like what he did. If you look at what he did for Canberra too, he did a similar job that Critter did on the left side.
Yes.
So I think that's why he's so attractive out in the outside backs, because he has got those flick passes and soft hands and stuff.
Pass.
So you're giving up something, but it's. But if you put Preston on the left and you've got a good back rower on the right hand side, it is an option though.
Well, it's funny because look, I think Liam Martin will end up in the middle too at one point, and they sort of come from the same system, but he'd
be interesting.
He plays busted too, Kikau, like his hand's broken, he's got broken this and broken that.
He's also got he's got bulging discs in his back, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Constantly in pain.
It'll depend really on how well these fringe players that we've got that you've just mentioned come through. Yeah. That will be the deciding factor. The Jack Todds and all these other Underhills and all these guys that are Spinks and these guys, how these guys come through and how fast they progress in, to become our next sort of, Josh Jacksons and whatever they become. That's what will determine potentially what might happen to Kikau if there's any movement for him.
Hey guys, just going to say like and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you like the video because there's usually more of yous on here than I get likes, and it's all about the likes. I like you. I thought, look, talking about the players coming through, the Jack Todds and that, if I look at patterns the way they emerge, I expect to see Mitch Woods definitely debut next year. I thought Joey O'Neill might take that mantle this year, but still a little bit on the small side. Didn't sort of had a couple of issues, got a bad head knock and stuff like that. And I think he's actually left the club, which is sad. Really sad, actually, because I thought he was a great. That's what I mean. I fall in love with these players watching them on Bar TV and watching them in the juniors. Like I love Puafisi, the halfback, and Ron Massey. He's just got such great footwork and just loves playing. You could see, but getting flogged every week because they're so young against men. But the pattern I'm seeing is that Lipoi Hopoi is going to be the one that really steps up next year because he's had that couple of years now. There would have been a lot of our fans saying, "Why isn't Lipoi in the team this week? Like we need that player. Why are they using this other sort of guy, not him?" So I think because he's in the top 30 next year for the first time, and it'll be like he's not employed after that. So at November 30, he's basically on the open market. So he'll get an opportunity, I think, at some point to really press his claims. And he's got a really good motor as well. So I'd expect he'll be looking to play minutes. DSF and Hughes are both going to be off contract as well. And I think with the preseason for them, if Hughes can get his shoulders right, DSF another 12 months of confidence after those horrific injuries in his knees. He is another which I think can extend his minutes as well and extend his impact. And if we lose a King or a Thompson through the year, I think those guys are going to be ready to roll, you know what I mean? Because they're going to have to be. Ryan's asked if Woods will be ready. I don't know if Woods will be ready, but if he gets through the off-season with no setbacks, they're worried about his hammies, obviously, because he's had a few issues with that, which is normal going into your first top 30 pre-season. But if he's ready, he's going to be a chance at the spot, which we talked about. Darragh Halligan on Monday night. I never heard that, Timmy, so I'll need to look for that. Dave makes another good point. Qatar from the Dolphins took a couple of years to get where he's at, 100%. And look, a good point about Qatar, if you go watch him year one underneath Wayne Bennett, there'd be 20 minutes in the game where he didn't touch the ball sometimes. Like, they really, brought him in and out of the team, really trained him to the minute. I think that
I think Mick's just frozen there.
Yeah, I think he has too. I don't know what's.
Yep. Internet,
We're all
mate.
back.
Internet. Yep.
Is your internet working? Yeah. Okay, you're back. Sorry, you froze there for a bit, mate.
Awesome. Timmy Gray, massive congrats to Kurt Mann and Critter on being included in the Rugby League Player Association Team of the Year. Oh, thank you for that, Timmy. Great ad. Burton to lock. Gallen started as a 6 and went to the forwards. Yeah, the excessive force call was terrible, Brian. That was a real game changer in that second half. That was just after the highly, where Galvin threw the ball and it went out. And then on their next set, we were defending real well. Preston put on a great hit. And you've hit him late. Put Terry Lamb on the bench at 14, says Michael. Nah, Lamb wouldn't even make it these days. Barr wasn't very good. I'm lying. I'm my favourite player.
He's definitely everyone.
Ask Larry Hanley how good he was.
I love Terry Lamb.
Be interesting to see if Tay Cochrane and Latrell Fing are still in the squad for next year, Timmy. Fing was a really good, loved his last part of the season in Jersey Flag. Timmy hates the Panthers and he wants other teams to get a win. Mugger says no to Nelson Sofa or Solomona. Anasta and Rennie Mature is saying that Burton should move to fullback. Well, Anasta's going to say anything which moves a really good half out of the halves.
Yes.
Oh, maybe Ilias can come to 7 and Galvin can go to 13 and Woods can play 6 and Burton can play fullback and Crichton can play centre still. Can Ilias come to Canterbury again, please?
Ilias isn't coming to Canterbury. There's no way.
He's so dirty on it, mate. He's so dirty on it.
He'd get better luck having the guy from Melbourne. He's halfback there, but we've already got Woods. We're not going to be getting a halfback.
They just say that because his name's Matt Burton, and people will comment and engage, and it'll push it into the algorithm, get them more viewers because it's attached to the Matt Burton going elsewhere. Maybe he can play fullback. Not just because they reckon it's a good idea to talk about. Look, fuck off. Why would they move Burton to fullback and bust himself?
He's never played fullback. He doesn't have the body type. They reckon it's like a Latrell, but he's a different player than Birdo. But Latrell's got silky hands and stuff. Burton doesn't really have that, Burton's got different kind of passing skills, but he doesn't have that little flick pass and stuff that, I don't know, I don't see him.
Can you imagine 20 metres out, Burton running from the back, coming into the line to smash someone, and then happen to run back on the fourth, and then get back to the other side of the field to cover in defence for a kick, and then to go to the other side in order to defuse something? Could you imagine him doing that? No fucking way.
No way.
Can I imagine Connor Tracy doing that? Yes, I can. Can I imagine Critter doing that? Probably. Because Critter's...
Maybe. Well, Critter has done it.
He has to be fit to do it, though.
Yeah. Critter
made 300 metres twice as a fullback for Penrith, and he was just a 7 out of 10. Like, he threw a couple of passes to the wingers in the clear to score a couple of tries. He got a couple of try assists in about 6 matches. Nothing special, did his job, but was in a pretty well-oiled machine when he did it.
Yeah, I think Burton would be better in the forwards he'd be better at lock than fullback.
Yeah, I reckon.
I don't see he's too big. He's too big to play.
Yeah, it's usually the other way.
Shout out from James here about the NRLW. Love watching our girls in their inaugural season. Preston Robinson, Quinlan, just great. Yeah, Taylor Preston had they won 4.5 games. Great effort, girls, in your first season. West won 1 game, just to put it. And they've been there for years, and they've got talent. Nah, that's good. Good shout-out content in flux. Boys, all the rubbish to me has nothing to do with our players. Let's be honest, it's about an attempt to take down Gus. It's going to stay that way, unfortunately. Yeah, well, look, Blake Austin talked about Nelson Asafa Solomona. And look, I said to Blake, I sent him a message and said, yeah, that's a good take about Nelson. Like having a player that's going to put the team on the front foot as impact, which maybe ties back to the kick-out thing that you're talking about. In short stints would be really good for a player like Galvin to play off the front foot, because he's like Galvin, that big body's been playing in those Western Sydney teams full of big forwards, big players, and getting roll-ons through kids. And he's been playing off the front foot his whole life. Same as Nathan Cleary played off the front foot his whole life. Never played off the back foot. So, but the problem is, as I said to him, until we get someone who can play 13 for long minutes, we can't really carry that big 20-minute prop or 15-minute prop. It just doesn't work out. It just makes us too susceptible in our defensive structure. All right. G'day, Knox Corvus. Welcome. Sorry we took a while, but we're getting closer. We're nearly caught up. G'day, Scotty Wood. Yeah, too skillful for the front row. Yeah, well, look, I've sort of shut it down, Amir, but I'm not going to rule anything out for next year. Yeah, Steve Price actually started as a centre.
And so did Ruben Wiki.
Yep.
Chan Kum Tong coming back to the Dogs. Good cover for Bailey. Look, I think wherever they can get, being a Bulldogs junior, and wherever they can get hookers with a bit of first-grade experience is going to be good for our young number 9's development. I think Preston did outplay Liam Martin on the weekend, 100%. Yeah, we do need more enforcement. Look, as I said, though, Mitch Kenny was that. See, people don't understand. Mitch Kenny is an enforcer in defence. He's an enforcer. You take him out of that team, they're not the same team. In fact, most of the games he played, they won. He missed quite a bit of footy this year. O'Sullivan's coming, Scotty. G'day, Paulie. Galvin will put on hopefully 5 kilos between now and the preseason, and I expect he'll put on the same the following year. But as a young kid, he does struggle. Tracy could play wing, guys, couldn't he? That was something you said, Gas.
Yes, he played a lot of wing, if you remember, at the Sharks, and he was a great finisher. Took the hard yards up. So if we had to move someone like a Critter into fullback, I would love to have Tracy still in the team. And if you took, for example, Montoya's spot, I wouldn't be against that. You wouldn't lose anything with Tracy's effort. Having him out there would be still great. And if obviously you have anything injuries, obviously he can cover at fullback. It's just anywhere you put Tracy in a team, as he showed with his versatility. Obviously, he started as a 5'8". You wouldn't be amiss with him. So, I wouldn't mind seeing him on the wing if we were to put someone else. He's only got probably a couple of years left anyway. He's already 30, 31, whatever he is. But so he'd be a great asset to keep in the team.
I don't think he's that old, is he? I thought he was only 28.
I'm not sure. I thought he was a bit more, but not sure.
Because he had those injuries. I might be wrong, mate. I might be wrong, but I had in my head that he's 28, but I might be wrong.
He's 29.
29. So he's almost
in the middle.
He'll be 30 in June next year. So
June,
But I will say, because he's only played 100 games, because he's had so many injuries, he's been fresh.
Yeah.
And he was really good in the last 2 games of the year. And if he didn't get that injury against Manly, I think we win more games in the back end of the season. People don't understand how important your fullback is.
That Manly game was probably his best game. That Manly game was probably one of his best games as well.
He's phenomenal.
That one and the Panthers game, the first Panthers game.
Correct. Oh, the defense in that one was outstanding. Yeah. That was just ridiculous, that effort he put in there.
And I think his injury, I don't think he was still 100%. I don't know. He just didn't seem to be able to put as much in that. Like, he threw his body at that Panthers game like I've never seen.
So, Abraham, I'm going to ask you a question. Should we bring Brian Dibb back so he can pay us money in order for him for us to put his comments up? Tell me what you reckon about that. He paid like $25 to get his comments up last night on the channel. Look, I actually sent him a message. I said, Brian, I still wouldn't put your comments up if you paid me. They're just crud. Paulie says Critter can be fullback, but we need him in the spine. Sub-OX is called Paulie.
But win.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So this is what I want people to understand, right? Gus comes out and says that Mitch Woods will get a chance at 7 to start next year and likely to debut at some point, and then says, he'll have a chance at the start. And what's happened with him one day of that? Burton's on his way out right now. Burton's playing centre. Burton's playing fullback. It's all just dot joining and joining the dots, joining the lines together because of Gus said one thing. And I reckon Gus knew exactly what was going to happen when he said it too.
I think he did the smart thing. He threw Woods into the mix to start to switch the narrative to what he wants it to be now.
100%.
He's clever. He knows that. He plays the media like it's like a fiddle.
Yeah, he's probably never met Mitch Woods.
He doesn't even know his name. No.
Anari Tuala has played fullback, by the way, and he was a junior Australian schoolboy. Anari Tuala, he's a very good footballer, which is why he's in the team. Around the grounds, Camden Rams defeat the Oakdale Tigers in Group 6 over the weekend at Campbelltown Sports Ground. Thanks, Scotty. Well, yeah, mate, if you want to come on every week and provide the around the grounds, I'll give you a link and you can come on and do it, brother.
So from what I see there, the Tigers could still not win at Campbelltown.
The Tigers still can't win at Campbelltown Sports Ground. They need to change their name to the Magpies every time they play there.
Yeah.
Burton can do everything he does at 6 at 1, but he's out of the defence and can play outside of structure. No way, laughing my ass off. The biggest obstacle Burton at 1 isn't attack, it's defence.
Sure,
his lack of talk and his positional player fullback in defence.
Yeah.
With the footy, he might thrive at 1. Yeah, look, with the running game, I've got no problem with it, but it's the repeated efforts of run. It's like in soccer and AFL where you're just running with a bloke that you're not even in the team screen, in the TV screen. Like no one can even see you sometimes for 15 minutes if the game's going a certain way, and you're just running with a bloke following him wherever he goes, and you've run 2 kilometres and actually not really done anything.
And you'll also probably end up starting to get hammy injuries like Turbo and Latrell as well. Yeah. Like you're putting too many miles in his legs. Guys that big. That's why, as much as I love Turbo and Latrell at fullback, they're too big. They're huge.
Yeah, it takes its toll.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different level. I mean, I played obviously a lot of top grade Oztag, and I was a winger. But I used to always slide back and cover. Every time the ball was on the other side, I was always like a wing, like a fullback, sliding back and back up again. You know, it's like you said, you don't see that sort of stuff when all people are watching is what's happening to the ball. But I'm always ready for any break or anything that's coming and then back up again. It's that constant. It takes its toll. You got to have that effort, and he doesn't have the. Usually, a player at that age now is going the other way, not going back into the fullback. He's past that now. He's at the age now where he's matured more. He's got that skill now to be where he is. He's only got to go up to a lock. He's not going to go back to a fullback. So that I wouldn't entertain that any more than what we already have, to be honest.
Because he's been that 6 and he's the kicker and stuff, it just doesn't make sense. You can go from centre to fullback.
Yeah.
You can go from wing to fullback. Yeah. But you can't go from 6 to fullback. It just rarely happens. It's not going to happen. We'll talk about David Breton in a moment, but I reckon you two guys in the count of 3, put your arms up like mine. Put your arms out. No, to the side. Yeah, yep. And now let's push in at the same time. We'll pack the scrum. What do you reckon? The new Reed Marnie sitting in the middle, and me and Gas wingers turned in. We're both wingers. I wasn't a winger, by the way. I wasn't even. Wingers are too good for me, mate.
And
Hasn't couldn't catch me. That's all I know.
So we've got 2 questions here. David Brighton or Brianton. Yeah, I love what he did, and there's some really good highlights from him, which I've shared on the channel, All Things Bulldogs. So have a look at that. And I will probably try and do a player watch at some point. Same as with Patrick Young, who's just been added to the top 30. Never thought I saw him as a hooker, but he played a lot of hooker this year. So, and was really sprightly out of dummy half and did a good job. And looks like he's getting enough sort of size on him as well. So, but this David fella from the Schoolboys, he'll be playing SG ball, probably playing that comp next year, like he will play in that comp next year, and then progress potentially to Jersey flag if all things go well with that comp earlier in the year. So, and Patrick Young, yeah, we talked about him. For now, Latu, I think he won't be our starting lock, Amir. I don't think he'll be our starting lock. I think he might be one to force his way onto the bench to start, though, that we may not know about. I do think there will be a star in our pack that may not be with our club next year. I've heard some stuff, and I've heard it for quite a while, and it just comes down to people on a certain amount of money, and if you can get bang for buck in the same way, and they've got people interested in them that want that player, that's when you see players leave and other players come in. And I think if one of those players leaves, that would then put a player like Finau up the pecking order a lot.
How fierce is that competition going to be for the first game being a unique game for the Bulldogs in Vegas? It's going to be on for young and old in training in the off-season to try to get yourself into that 17 to play. It's an amazing experience, and I think every one of them will be chomping at the bit trying to get in there. So it's going to be another aspect to the off-season of everyone trying to be in that first team as well and get the front running. So it's,
as you
it's
said,
another good sideshow.
157 days, brother, 157 days. And it's treated almost like a semi-final, the game itself, which and you got to be careful with it too, because I wrote the Warriors off after that game, and then next week they just went to new levels and they just kept ascending. But I knew Canberra were going to do well, and Canberra put them to bed, and then lots of stuff like that.
Well, the Panthers went the other way after a great win too, for a good chunk of the season.
I want to talk about the Kurt Mann thing. I think Kurt Mann was very good against Melbourne, and they've had to change their minutes around due to what was going. He's obviously carrying some niggles. But against Penrith, he didn't really get to influence the way that we wanted to, because we couldn't get any momentum in the ruck. And they were just so up in our face that he wasn't able to make decisions. Normally he can sort of get the ball and decide, okay, am I going to look for an edge here and back out and go for an edge, or am I going to look for use my leg work and make things happen through the middle? And they were sort of all over him, which sort of come down to the slowness of our ruck, which affected him a little bit. But like him against Melbourne, man, was one of the – I'll just say he wasn't quiet against the Melbourne Storm. He absolutely nearly won us the game with the momentum he created. So go back and watch the Melbourne Storm semi-final again, especially when Mann and Tupanua come on, and then tell me whether he was quiet when it counted.
And he ran down Toto the other day too. It was a great chase off the intercept. Yeah,
I preferred Tupanua off the bench than starting.
Yeah, I agree.
I just feel like he was too tired. I know what they were trying to do. I just don't think it worked. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had to try something. I just didn't feel like. I just felt like he got too tired too quickly.
And it was. And this is what I mean. So we've got Paulie here. Paulie's been a great supporter of the channel for years, and he comes up with a lot of good stuff, and he comes up with some stuff that I disagree with. And this is one of them. Mann should be starting. If Mann starts, he's a small man who's 86 kilograms, facing the biggest and best players on the field at their absolute 100% energy level. He's not getting the same impact, just like Tupanua wasn't getting the same impact when he started. To go out there and do it, it's different when we played the Roosters in the wet a couple of years ago when he started. That's different. And it's different when Salmon's not there and he has to start, right? And he does a really good job, but he is more effective in what we do off the bench. Okay?
Around tired legs. When he comes on and there's a few tight forwards, he can be a bit more creative as well.
And him and Salmon just go non-stop. And the statistics that they get off these guys is that they cover more ground than anyone else in the team over that period. And then people say, oh, Salmon's shit. I can't think. He only did 3 hit-ups. I said, well, Salmon is a player that gets the ball into a player's hand in a better position most of the time. Okay, that's his role. He only runs it if he has to, or if it's part of the game plan that week for him to take a few more runs to help another player or whatever. His whole game is being there in the kick chase, being there on the support play. If they do make a break, being there to get the ball, rallying everyone and telling them where they've got to be in the run, like making sure that the ruck's got control and we've got the players in the right spaces. He's the one doing that. He's the Minister of Defence. And you go on, the Kennel had Shifty Sherwin on, and he told him straight out what Jamin Salmon was to that team, and they still berated him last night after Brent Sherwin told him direct. You know, and Elmo did a good job with that interview. He did the best he could, and I actually loved that interview he did with Brent Sherwin. But there was a couple of loaded questions there, which is fair enough. It's what his people would ask in his favour to give him the doubt. But for him to sit there and basically say, "Oh, a lot of the fans have, sort of don't understand the Jamin Salmon, why he's in the team and stuff," when it's mainly him just as much. And then when they get the chance, he missed 9 tackles. They act like he misses 9 tackles every game. He missed 9 tackles because he was the one trying to make all the tackles when Penrith had 70% possession in the first half. That's why. Take his body. I know he's very upset, Abraham, and I was a bit nasty to him last night. He's like, "Oh, Mick thinks he knows everything." I'm like, "Oh, I do know everything. Just ask me."
Knows more than Brian, that's for
Benny
sure.
Barber when I see him play. He'll be good in the future. Yeah, well, I'll try and do as much as I can, and I'll see if I can find the guy and do something on him.
Benny Barber broke my heart. I was so excited, man. I was so excited. I remember he scored 4 tries for the Indigenous game just before he got sacked. And I was like, oh my God, it's just such Bulldog luck, seriously. And then he goes to the Sharks and wins a grand final with them.
Him and SBW, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
I look at 2012 like a Melbourne Storm grand final that was taken away from him. I don't remember it as we lost the comp that year. I remember it that we were the best team and had the best season of all time that I got to witness. Like, that was the last year my mum was on the planet, pretty much, and she just loved what the Bulldogs produced that year.
Oh, and, so good.
And she
I still watch Benny Barber's highlights from that year. That was one of the greatest seasons of any player. Some of those tries he scored, there was one he did with Josh Morris, which was just unbelievable. Josh Morris, one of my favourite all-time players as well.
Another great defensive centre too.
Oh, mate. And he was underrated in attack. Very underrated. Yes. He was unbelievable in attack as well. It was just that he did such a good job on GI that he got that tag as the... But him and his brother were just freaks.
Speed to burn as well, yeah.
One of my favourite tries of all time was actually the two running down together, the two twins.
In same steps as well, yeah.
That was a good day, So myself, some stuff that's coming up. Look, we'll start pushing into...
Sorry.
We're going to start pushing into ending this because we've been going for 2 hours now. We don't want to go for 3. So really good job, guys. The structure's always difficult. We've had a lot of interaction. People had a lot of stuff they want to get off their chest. But a good point by Brian. Big effort fullback. Look at all the big effort fullbacks. They aren't very big players. And we need players that have got a lot of effort in that position. Sexton looks like he didn't have a crack. I think part of it is Sexton struggles in big games, and the other part is that Lachlan Galvin was given the keys to the car, and Sexton sort of didn't take part in it and didn't really look to. He sort of just sat free out on the edge and sort of probably looked at the scoreboard and just got really pissed off.
Do you think he just struggled because he was on the left a little bit too? He's not used to playing on the left as much as he is on the right.
He was out of his comfort zone, and also with Burton out there struggling with his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's just a shit show. So the context of it all is that we were just broken in that game and got more broken before it when Burton busted his shoulder at training. What was it going? Mick, what were you hearing? Moran was our Lenu. Yeah, look, I watched the podcast with the Cameron Phelps, which is the Bankstown boys, which is, a bit of good cop, bad cop stuff. They're trying their best. But I find fringe players that do podcasts are definitely going to have a lot more knowledge than I'm going to have. But I also feel that they hold the players to the standard that they couldn't reach. That's a bit nasty to say that. I probably shouldn't say that. But I just find the criticism a bit over the top. But the passion is exactly what you get from ex-players. They want to see the team win and do well, and they get upset when they don't. So I get it, but I'm just sick of it. Just sick of the negativity, man. I'm just sick of it. Moram had the potential for that, but in the big games last year, he sort of failed a bit, dropped some balls, and it probably went against him. I felt he did really good job in reserve grade, did pretty well when he got an opportunity this year. His uncle, Brad, who I really loved as a battler, but he sort of thought that Moran could come in and do the job that Kurt Mann's doing now. He thought Moran would be able to do that. His nephew, Curtis, would be able to do that in a couple of years. And I sort of don't disagree with him. But, it just didn't work out for whatever reason, and there's a bit of bad blood there. Abraham's asked a good question, guys. Do you reckon we should get Lofty Khan Pereira, an absolute speedster?
I would never say no to that bloke.
I love speed. We're lacking a bit of speed at the moment. We're lacking a bit of speed.
Hey, Robbo, you want to send me to the Tigers now?
I still think we would have been much I think salary cap wise it doesn't work, but we would have been better off if we still had Fox this year.
Yeah.
But I think salary cap wise, he was on too much money. I think he's
I think Gus there's too many stories from Danny which I didn't like about Fox with the Indigenous knockout stuff. But the Fox lost a lot of weight over the pre-season, so I think he was trying to build up his muscle to be one of those Brian Toto wingers and not just be a speedster, but to do the work. It didn't work out, though. He just got absolutely crunched by Bryce Cartwright, and that fucked his whole season last year. And then we had the cocaine thing. But I love the Fox, and he still protests his innocence on that. So if someone says they're innocent and they just won't accept it, maybe something happened, I don't know. But the club did the club's course of action based on the evidence and whatever else. I think the club did the right thing, but I still feel sorry for the Fox in that regard, and I love him.
I think I think they needed to get rid of him because he was on too much money and they took advantage of the situation. I think if they really wanted him, they would have forgiven him. I think just
I don't know. I think we've drawn a line in the sand. We've drawn a line.
I might be wrong there,
but we've rolled a line. We've cut a line.
Because wasn't he on about $650, Mick, or something? He was on a fair bit of money.
550.
Plus he had third party help as well, but as part of the
because we really missed him this year.
It took away variation in, we got less tries from kicks, even through our forwards, because having the threat of the Fox there also opened things up for Cherry, so it made it harder for him. But I think Montoya did a good job, and we adjusted the best we could. But speed brings with it brings more more artillery to your fight. And
even some of the tries he scored for Parramatta this year, no one but the Fox scores those. You know what I mean?
Well, they said he was the fastest player this year again. They said he ran the fastest of any other player.
Yeah.
So,
but you only run as fast as you have to,
If we can get Lofty Khan Pereira for under $400,000, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, 100%.
Check his
Who do you think they're developing to become an 80-minute lock? I think Galvin might be the one, but You know, there are some
We don't
others
know.
there. But to be an 80-minute lock or a 75-minute lock, you've got to be able to give space to your halves and to your backs when needed. And it just gives us the ability to have those more of the enforcers on the field and in the 17 if we've got that. It doesn't matter if man's better. You start with a player who can take the sting out. And then you bring the player on who can, like Spencer Lenu, the way their game was, the Penrith that year, without Spencer, they struggled to win because of what he brought off the bench. You need important bench players to do what they do. Salmon off the bench just isn't the same for us.
It's like, for me, Marnie wasn't the same off the bench either. Some people are bench players, some people are starting players.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because what does Salmon do if he comes off the bench? He doesn't bring any impact. You know what I mean? Like,
just plugs a hole.
Turpin starting against the Broncos was our best player for 25 minutes. When he come off the bench against the Dolphins, he struggled to get into the game.
Yeah.
And he was trying to make up for lost time, and he gave away penalties and head eyes and stuff. And people forget he played one game in 2 years or something. No, pick your best, most experienced 13 to start the little short 8 ball. I don't think he's sideways at all. I think you'll find that most of the tries we scored when he was on the field, he had a hand in it. And he gave good space to the next player that got the footy. But that's just me.
I just realised I haven't even had dinner yet.
Yeah, me either, mate. Look, if you got to get going, Joeby, I'll live by fig jam to Mick.
Man, it's still.
People are still spewing about Barber. Well, he's still playing great rugby league, man, when he comes into the Indigenous. Watch the Corey knockouts when it's on. It'll be on soon, actually. Benny Barber will be there, and he'll be cutting up.
I watched an interview with him not long ago. He hasn't been drinking. He's been off the drink for about 6 years now, which is fixed his life.
He got 9 goals
bad.
in his first game of AFL. He kicked 9 goals.
Oh, he's a freak, mate. He's a freak. He's just one of those guys, you know.
Rocket Rod Silver.
Did you see Snoop Dogg kicking goals, the AFL Bowl? Never kicked one, and he kicked a snapshot.
David, thank you, mate, for the big compliment. And thank you, everyone for their compliments. Really love it. Phil, make sure you like and subscribe. Give me money wherever you can. I'm not afraid to ask anymore. Christmas is coming up, and I'm trying to get to Vegas. So I'll give you my what is it? What do you call them? What do you do? A bloody
GoFundMe.
What do you do to raise money? GoFundMe to go to Vegas. Or send all things Bulldogs to Vegas. GoFundMe.
Bring Braith.
I'll interview Braith and Astor while I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh, Braith would chew me up and spit me out. Like, I wouldn't even get a word in. I would not get a word in. He'd be like, oh, you're right, are you? You're right, are you?
Now, hang on. Don't forget, Braith is always staring at something when he's answering, when he has to deflect everything. He's like, hang on a second. He's staring at something else as usual when he's trying to answer. He does that sideways eye to try to, detract everyone. Yeah.
I put the glasses on when I talk to him, and when I let him talk, I take them off and lean back. And then I tilt my head like this, and then okay. And then I lean in and put my glasses on, then I go, Braith, I think you're a fuckwit. No, I actually like Braith and Astor. I just don't like what he's done.
I can't help but like him. Nah, neither do I. Neither do I. I do think he pulled back a little bit, but because he started to defend Sexton a little bit, but yeah, I think Buzz poisoned his brain a little bit.
Nah,
I'm joking. I'm joking a little bit there.
When it comes to mental health, Braith did not support Galvin, he instigated and drove it harder. Only because Galvin had a lot of support around him, he was able to still be upbeat. But that wasn't the way that you treat a 19-year-old with that constant barrage night after night after night, week after week. That was disgusting, to be honest.
I agree, but you got to be.
Braith, yeah.
I agree, but Braith took it, man. Braith took it his whole career.
Yeah, well, that's okay. But he even admitted to saying that he suffered through a lot of that depression and whatever it was. So he should know even more than anyone. He does. That's because he took it as a doesn't have to give it to someone else.
But he didn't give it to Galvin. He gave it to the club. I'll back Braith up there. He never really attacked the player. He gave it to the club, which I don't agree with. That
player's name in lights the whole time. Kept his name in lights the whole time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is hard for me because I like Braith is one of my he's one of my all-time favorite players. So I have a natural, but he's very strong opinions and But to be fair, Gordon Tallis did the same thing to the Broncos this year. So, did we lose Gad? Did we?
No.
He's just down the bottom there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Oh, far out.
I just found this little comic that someone put together. It says, it's from the Dog Father. It says, Braith Enterprises. Brave says, sorry, Lockie, they don't want Sexton, but don't rate you, mate. I think they want Galvin, fucking Gus. Episode 1.
Yeah, that's it. But
that's
the thing, though. But Gordy did it because he's so close to Kevin. You know what I mean? Like with Walters. Exactly. You know what I mean? He was giving it to Maguire all year. Like if I was a Broncos 100%. Fan, that would have pissed me off. But so they got their little things. Is what it is. We've just got to realise as fans what's going on. Flaming hell, this keeps confusing me. We keep changing spots.
I'm just going to quickly run through I know I'm going backwards, but in the end, I just want to show people that the Bulldogs missed 13% of tackles, which is what the Panthers missed. They had a much faster ruck. Offload similar. Passes one different. Receipts one different. What do I want to show? Our effective tackle was actually better than the Panthers in the game. So you want to talk about stats just as stats to make a discussion. You need to have context. We missed 50 from 376. They missed 39 from 315. And they made 22 ineffective tackles to our 14. So, look, we got a lot of penalties in the second half when it didn't matter. And as soon as we got close, they swung it the other way. So, if you look at that possession in the first half, it was just a shit show. I just wanted to show that, guys. We'll get off now. We're back here again. We've swapped positions again.
I just wanted to say before we go, and I said this to you.
Lock now, and you and me in the second row.
I just wanted to say quickly, I think the difference at the end of the day was that one play that I talked about with you, Mick, was that one play that Nathan did. Bulldogs come out, make a line break. Carraz does a kick, comes back in the centre of the field. There's 4 Panthers players. Nathan's the one that gets the ball, passes it to Alamotti, then he gets the ball back and he kicks a 40-20. Yeah. And he just shuts down the Bulldogs revival right there. And I think that's the difference. The finals experience they have is just so superior. And it's why they're going to be hard to beat this year, because they play finals games. It's like an NRL game to them. They're that used to it now. So, you know what I mean? And I think we've got to give Penrith a lot of credit for it as well. So, yeah, it was horrible that we had to come up against those two teams when we did.
100%, brother. Look, we'll give our preliminary final tips in a second. We're going to look forward to Vegas. We've got a lot of positive stuff to talk about. We want to move forward. We don't want to go back after this. We want to keep moving forward. Get everyone on board. Get excited about next year. Even if we don't make top 4, who cares? We've got a lot of stuff to get excited about. We're going to have some good wins, some good performances. We're going to have some stuff to get excited about. So, but David says, I don't care about how Sierra does it, but Burto's a friggin' 6. Never want to see Burto at centre ever again. We'll lose too much every time he moves 6. We get depressed when he goes. Dave, it's just out of necessity. We had no depth in our other areas, and they're not going to bring in Blake Wilson. So they weren't going to bring in Blake Wilson. They had to play our best 17, and they're not putting Galvin at centre, for example. So, you know, it just was through necessity. That's what I mean. Like, people had a big carry on about it. And it was hard on Burto. It was hard on him. Like, but he was still our best player at centre against the Storm. He put us on our back and did a great job. If he doesn't get injured on Thursday, I think we go a lot better in that final against Penrith as well. I really believe that. I think they were probably defeated before they got there, knowing all this shit, you know. And us playing starting Marnie, like, I reckon Ivan Clear would have known that Tupanua and Marnie were going to start. He just knows the systems. He knows how it works. And he's like, they're going to try everything they can in the start of this match to beat us. If we go out there and play our normal game, we'll steal it from them. And they they just look like they were not worried for 1 second in that match. But Ivan showed us so much respect by keeping Cleary on the field for as long as he did, keeping his son on the field and keeping Yo on the field for ages when he didn't have to. And he only replaced Mitch Kenny because he was fresh from an injury. So, yeah, they didn't take us lightly at all.
No.
Just quickly with rumours. Burton, I don't think will be going to the Cowboys or anything like that. And if he does, it's because they've obviously got some sort of money that they can offer him. But what a load of shit! Like, who are they going to get rid of? Who are they going to get rid of? Jordan McLean's left. So what? You know, sorry, they got Tom Dearden. And Clifford's not going anywhere. They've just re-signed him. Like, they got Drinkwater. He's on big money. And they've just signed Marnie on $600,000. Where's the money? Who's your tips, guys? Who's your tips?
Panthers, Melbourne.
Gas?
I'm still undecided, to be honest.
I only say Melbourne because Hughes is back.
He's short a run. He's no good.
Yeah. But Bellamy won't play him unless he's... maybe I'm right. I don't know.
I'm not sure Reynolds being back is going to help Broncos either. It means potentially that Walsh might get less ball.
I don't think it's going to matter, but I think Panthers is going to dominate them. I don't think they'll even...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, look, I just hope for two great, cracking games, belt each other, and whoever ends up, like you just said, Mick, we might not make the top 4 next year, but we might make the top 8. We should make the top 8, and there's 2 teams that are in the top 8 that are not in the top 4. So I know it's Penrith and I know it's the Sharks, but still, that doesn't mean that we still can't, get to the big dance still next year. So,
exactly.
The key's going to be for us is to peak at the end of the season as well. Get ourselves into the finals, but peak at the right time and have your best players on the field. Penrith had their best players on the field last week against us, and we were a team that was absolutely smashed. So that makes a big difference. And I think that was in the end, when we both had our best players out there, they only beat us by a charge down.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think that game did a lot of damage to us. I don't think we ever fully recovered from that game.
I agree.
Like,
even the decision at the end there, for example, like, Critter, like saying, no, let's take the try. Let's take the try. Don't worry about the 2 points. I mean, that's the way that they were trying to go. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And Mick spoke about it in numerous podcasts about the, bringing Galvin on and Cireldo having a go a bit early in the 50-minute mark where he was leaving him a bit later. And it took us a long time to recover, to get back and get the ascendancy back. But the whole time, all these things, the coach was trialing through the year. I mean, it's like you said,
Penrith had a settled.
Yeah, exactly. So
in my opinion, every big game that we played, it was the Manly game, the Good Friday game, the Parramatta game on King's birthday. They're big games. It doesn't matter where they are on the field. On the ladder, they're big games. The opening game of the year, but the Belmore game, our last Belmore game for ages, they were big days. Magic Round was a big day because we hadn't won there. We stepped up for all of them. In the semi-finals, we stepped up. I don't care. We're down 34-8. People can say I'm polishing a turd, but we did the best we could at the time. I felt that they did try their hardest.
Yeah.
And they kept going for the 80 minutes. They did not give up one iota. And the coach had every right to be proud of them. And people
we ran into a red-hot team. But we ran into a red-hot team and we were struggling. We were injured, busted, and we ran into a red-hot team. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You can't help injuries. Carraz was injured, for God's sake. He was needled up.
Yeah.
And he was nowhere near as effective as he normally is.
And he put his offload away too, after what happened the previous week. He was a bit more apprehensive in the first half.
Well, he wasn't. I don't think he had the strength to push through like he normally does to get that arm out. You know what I mean? Because
they were
he's playing on one foot. Yeah, he's playing on one foot. Look,
thanks for everyone's contributions. I think I think the Sharks will beat Melbourne and beat them well. And I think that it's a flip. I think Penrith. I'm going to tip Penrith, but I still think the Broncos are a big shot. Abrahaz said, I feel like the Dogs should not play home games at the core. They should play at Belmore. Well, Belmore, we can't play there, mate. We can't play finals there, and they're not going to play at a ground which holds 16,000 people.
When we're getting 40,000.
When
60,000.
56,000. And now I'll ask, was it like a Penrith home game?
No way.
On Saturday?
No way.
On Sunday?
No way. No way in the world.
75%
of the crowd was Bulldog supporters.
Maybe he was in a part where there was full of Panthers or something and just didn't get to see. Mate. I don't know. If you're at the game, you're obviously in a Panthers area because on the TV, I think Penrith had about probably 10 to 12,000 fans there, but we would have had 38 to 40.
Yeah. There was one thing that agitated a lot of the supporters was right in front of where the normal kennel is and where the Bulldogs supporters were. The Panthers mascot just sat in front of us right in the front there with two cheerleaders and just kept mocking us and giving every time they were scoring in that first half. And there was that many people ready to jump the fence and just crack him and just kept telling him, go back to your side, go back to your side. He really put a lot of people off. He really put a lot of people off. There was
he's got some balls, that bloke.
He had a lot of balls in that one. He was. If anyone knew who he was, I reckon they'd whack him. The guy next to me was screaming at him and wanted to jump. He was off his chair. He wanted to knock him out.
All right.
All good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Was there any one last closing thing from anyone, or are we happy to leave that?
I'm happy to.
One thing for me, I just want to sum up to say that it's been an unbelievable season by the team for us, and I think we've got so much exciting things to look forward to in the next few years with what we're building. So we can celebrate the season, and I think moving forward, our podcast coming up in the next from now until the start of next year, and there's going to be a lot of exciting things coming up, a lot of new things. We've got some great ideas, and there's a lot of things that you can be, keeping your Bulldog fix on
Yeah, look, there will be some surprises happening, guys. So lots to look forward to. But thank you so much, people. What a great episode. Right. Well done, the Bulldogs. Well done, the fans. 5555. You know who you are on TikTok. And go the Dogs.
Go the Dogs.
Great season.